It's part of a teacher prompt, not an expectation. What they're saying is that oral and anal sex may lead to an increased risk of sexually transmitted diseases. Okay, that's what they may teach. Now, why are they doing that? Because what they noticed is that since the 1998 curriculum, the rates of pregnancy decreased in children. Okay, so children were having safer sex. Theoretically, that's what that would mean. However, what they noticed is that the rates of sexually transmitted diseases started going up. So the scientists started thinking, what's happening here? So when they delved into the matter further, they realized that children, they don't have the money to buy contraceptives. So children weren't having safer sex. They were still having sex, but they were turning to alternate forms of sexual activity, such as these two forms, so that girls wouldn't get pregnant, i.e. the pregnancy rate going down, but then that was leading to an increase in sexually transmitted diseases or sexually transmitted infections. That was the impetus behind putting this in the curriculum, according to the Ministry of Education.
التغيير الثالث في المنهج الجديد هو يتكلم عن الصحة الجنسية والتطور. فمن جريد 1 لجريد 3 هيتكلموا عن الاستخدام الصحيح أو كيف إن الطالب يشير إلى أعضائه الجنسية مثلا ذكر أو فرج أو كذا، إنه يعرف يستخدم الألفاظ بشكل صحيح. من جريد 4 لجريد 5 اللي هو ما حصلش فيه تغيير كتير، هو نفس اللي كان موجود في منهج 98. إن هيتكلموا عن البلوغ ومراحل التطور وكيف مسألة الحمل ومسألة الولادة والعلاقات الصحية بين الجنسين. من 6 ل 8 جريد 6 لجريد 8 هيتكلموا عن حاجات تانية، مثلا مسألة الاستمناء. من ضمن الحاجات اللي هيدرسوها ان ده شيء طبيعي وكل الناس بتعمله وان هو مش مؤذي ولا حاجه. برضو هيكلموا عن موانع الحمل، هيكلموا عن الحمل الرغبة الجنسية للجنسين. الحاجة الثالثة واللي هي حاجة اختيارية مش إجبارية، بمعنى إنه في منهج مقرر لازم المدرس يدرسه، وفي حاجة تانية اللي هي بتكون اختياري بترجع لاختيار المدرس، ربما يدرسها أو ما يدرسهاش. فهي مسألة الجنس عن طريق الدبر قوم لوط والجنس عن طريق الفم، دي من الحاجات الاختيارية اللي متروكة لرغبة المدرس إن هو يدرسها. وهيدرسوها من منطلق إن هم يعرفوا الطلاب إن دي لها مخاطر وإنها بتسبب مشاكل. تمام؟ لأن هم لاحظوا إنه الناس اللي بيعملوا هذه الأمور بتحصل لهم مشاكل جنسية وبتنتقل أمراض من طرف للتاني، فهم هيدرسوها من منطلق إن لها مخاطر وبتسبب مشاكل. وكما قلت إن ده شيء اختياري مش إلزامي في المنهج.
So the last part of the curriculum, the last major change to the curriculum, and this part of the curriculum was not there before in the 1998 curriculum, is sexual diversity and sexual identity. So from grades 1 to 4, students will learn what invisible differences mean. And invisible differences within a person are something different than physical differences. So for example, if we look at me and my brothers here, we know that there's obvious physical differences between us, right? Because we can see them. You know, they're male, I'm female, they have short hair, you don't know what kind of hair I have, but there are things that you can see. Well, there are also invisible differences, differences that you can't see, and children will learn about those. They'll also learn about gender identity and sexual orientation, because those are invisible differences between people, and how to respect these differences amongst different people. So how would this manifest, for example, inside the classroom? There's a teacher prompt that's given in the curriculum. So again, this is not something the teacher will necessarily teach, but may draw from if she needs to or he needs to. So this is what a teacher may say. Sometimes we are different in ways you cannot see. Give me some examples of things that make each person unique. Now, a sample student answer that's also given in the curriculum is, we all come from different families. Some students live with 2 parents, some live with 1 parent. Some have 2 mothers, some have 2 fathers. So that's how it'll manifest from grades 1 to 3. From grades 5 to 8, it gets a little bit more specific. Students will learn how to discover their own identity. And by that, a lot of people have misinterpreted that to mean that you know, that students are going to be, you know, pushed towards one particular sexual orientation. This particular line is a celebration of identity. So, for example, if there's a child who identifies as Muslim, they're going to be like, the school's gonna be like, great, you're a Muslim, awesome. If there's a student that identifies as being a strong female, they're gonna be like, yeah, good job, you're a strong female, awesome. If there's a student who identifies as being gay, they're gonna be like, that's okay, you can be gay if you want. If there's a student who's confused, they will help that student try to get to a place where they're not confused anymore through counseling. So they'll refer them to, I'm sure, experts, and there are usually experts available in school in order to help them along with that. So that's what this identity portion means. Students learn how to respond to homophobic remarks. In grade 8, students must understand the difference, must understand what gender identity means, what it means to be male, what it means to be female, what it means to be two-spirited, what it means to be transgender, what it means to be transsexual, what it means to be intersex. If you don't understand all of these words, that's okay, because I didn't understand all of these words, honestly. So you should look them up, because your kids are going to be learning what this means. So you should know what these mean so that you can have a conversation with them about it. In grade 8, students must understand what sexual orientation means, so what it means to be heterosexual, what it means to be gay, what it means to be lesbian, and what it means to be bisexual. So this is what they're going to be learning. And the reason why this was introduced into the curriculum was, remember we talked about Bill 13 in 2012, creating safe and accepting schools? Well, this is a manifestation of one of the things that came out of this bill, and it's basically moving towards inclusivity and equity for all populations that are in a school. So that's where this particular aspect came into the curriculum.
التغيير الرابع بيتكلم عن التنوع الجنسي والهوية الجنسية بالنسبة للطلاب. فمن جريد 1 لجريد 4 هيتعلموا عن الاختلافات الجسدية الظاهرة والخفية بالنسبة للاختلاف الجنسي بين الجنسين الذكر والأنثى. طبعا الاختلافات الظاهرة معروفة، لما تنظر إلى إنسان بتعرف إذا كان راجل أو ست. ده بيحصل معظم الأحوال، أحيانا بتبقى ماشي في الشارع بتشوف واحد ما بتعرفش إذا كان راجل ولا ست، تمام؟ برضه هيتكلموا عن الخلافات اللي هي موجودة الخفية بالنسبة للأعضاء أو بالنسبة لتكوين الأعضاء الجنسية بالنسبة للإنسان. من جريد 5 لجريد 8 هيبدأوا يتعرفوا على هويتهم الجنسية، إذا كان ذكر أو أنثى أو إذا كان حاجة ثالثة شاذ مثلا، وإزاي إن هو يدافع عن هويته الجنسية إذا كان مثلا شاذ، إن هو يقدر يتكلم وإن هو يفتخر بنفسه إن هو عادي زي واحد أو واحدة، ما فيش مشكلة يعني. الحاجة اللي بعد كده إن يعرفوا الخلافات بين هذه الأمور المختلفة. هي طبعًا أعطت كذا مثال اللي هو ميل وفيميل وتو سبيريتد وترانسجندر وترانسكشوال وانترسكشوال، الحاجات ديت طبعًا هي نفسها قالت إنها ما عندهاش فكرة عن هذه المصطلحات، ولكن هم يتعلموها في المدرسة، فبرضه ممكن تتعلموا أكثر عن هذه المصطلحات عشان تعرفوا الأولاد هيتعلموا إزاي أو يفكروا إزاي.
So that was basically a summary of the curriculum. So we're going to be moving into the next part of the presentation. So that was a summary of the curriculum and the summary of why the Ministry of Education wanted some of these things in the curriculum. I didn't make up those reasons. Those are the reasons as they kind of put it. So what are some problems that people have identified with the curriculum? So again here, this is not my own opinion. This is kind of like I looked at what's there online, what the Toronto Star is reporting, other newspapers are reporting, and what general issues there are, and I basically classified them in 6 basic points that people may have a problem with in terms of what the problems are with the curriculum. So first of all, the first problem with the curriculum that people have identified is teacher bias. So remember I was talking about the expectation versus the teacher's prompt. Expectation, you must teach; teacher prompt, you may teach. Or you may use. So obviously that introduces teacher bias, where some teachers may choose to use the teacher's prompts about masturbation, right? Or about oral and anal sex, while other teachers may not. So, and then how is this going to be taught in the classroom, etc. So that's where teacher bias is introduced. So it's very, very important for you guys to get to know your child's teacher. Get to know the principal, have a really great, open, honest communication with them with a smile, because you get more bees with honey than vinegar, right? So we want to know what they're going to be teaching, where their mind is at. And then the other thing is the first person that'll talk to the child about this particular matter is the teacher, right? So the first person they're going to hear this type of information from is the teacher. So that's another problem that people have identified with the curriculum. People feel like it should be the parent's responsibility to teach, and that there's no place for the teacher talking about these issues in the classroom. Also, age appropriateness was another factor that was identified, that some of these things are being introduced way, way, way too soon to children. Material is taught in a group instead of one-on-one, so there's no data to suggest that teaching this material in a group is going to be more beneficial than teaching it one-on-one. Because if the bottom line of a sexual education curriculum is to ensure the health and safety of our youth population, there is no data to suggest that teaching this in a group will have better health and safety than teaching it one-on-one would. Sex is taught without morality, so essentially there is no morality within the curriculum, that it's just taught as like sexual health, free of any religious associations. Although I should mention that even within the curriculum, it does say, it does prompt children, or prompt teachers to prompt children, that if they are having an issue that they're confused about, such as their identity, or if they're having an issue that they're confused about, such as having sexual relations when they've decided to, have sex, that they should discuss it with trusted adults. Religious leaders even are mentioned. So there is a little bit of it in the curriculum. And then that this is a data-heavy safe sex program, and those have not been shown to decrease the rate at which children are having sex, like an abstinence program would. So those are some of the issues that have been identified for the curriculum. But this is the one thing I want to communicate, that when we see threats, these are threats, right? This curriculum is a threat to our community. That's what it seems like, right? So when I'm not sure how many people here are entrepreneurs, but I'm sure almost everybody is a professional. So at some point in your professional careers, you guys have kind of engaged in a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And when you look at the threat section, like this would be a threat section, you always look at mitigating factors. Is there a factor to mitigate this threat? And so that's how I would encourage you to approach the topic we're talking about. Can we mitigate what is going to be happening? So let's go through this point by point. So these are our threats. Some problems are threats. Teacher bias, can we mitigate that risk? How can we mitigate that risk? So the way to mitigate that risk is, first of all, having a great relationship with the teacher, right? So that you understand, and the teacher understands where you're coming from, and that you understand where the teacher's coming from. And that way, it'll you'll know when something's being taught, so that you can kind of get to your child first, right? The first person to talk to our children is the teacher. Can we mitigate that risk? How do we mitigate it? By being the first people to talk to our children. So that curriculum is available online. Go online, take a look. If your child is in grade 1, read the grade 1 section. You don't have to read like all the way to the end, right? So that's about, like the sexual health portion is very small, but you could read the entire section. It's not more than 15 pages. Okay, and then you pick out the point that you have an issue with, that you want to talk to your child first about. Talk to them first. That way, Mom talked to me first. So when something does happen in the classroom, they can come and tell you about it. The curriculum introduces advanced, so essentially for this entire thing, because I've been given a 10-minute warning, for all of this, there is one major way to mitigate all these threats, and that's to talk to your children first about all of it, especially if they're in a public school. Okay, so talk to your children at about what they're going to be taught, and keep the avenue open. Make sure it's a two-way dialogue, right? So they can talk back and they can come to you with questions if they need it. And that's how to mitigate all of this. Okay, can we stop the new curriculum? So parents have tried to stop. Do you mind if I just quickly go through it instead of, yeah. So parents have tried to stop the new curriculum in 2010, and they were successful. There are a lot of rallies and stuff going on right now. Will they be able to stop it? I don't know. But basically my point to you is that A lot of these things are already happening in schools. So there's a gender-based violence prevention office in each school. Essentially, they come in, they do workshops on how to ensure inclusivity and equity for all populations within the school, and that includes the LGBTQ community, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer community. So that's already happening, and it's been happening since 2009. There's a Safe and Positive Place program, which I believe is in all high schools now, give or take. And basically that's an office, I'm generalizing, and people go there if they have, if they're having like a crisis about their identity or who they are, and there are peer counselors available to help them through their issues. And this has been around for a very, very long time. There's the Triangle program, which in the Toronto District School Board, and this high school has been around for a while as well, a couple of years, and it's the first LGBTQ high school in the public school system. Okay. Also, there are a lot of people who have already reported that you know, their children are learning about my two moms, my two dads, but the curriculum is not coming out till September, right? These things are already happening, and in regards to the sexual health part of the curriculum, like having safe sex, etc., that's been around since 1998. It's just that we weren't really paying attention to what was happening until now. Right? And then we started thinking, oh, all of this has never happened before, but actually a lot of it has been happening. So it's already happening. My point of view is that we don't know if the curriculum is going to stop or not, but let's say even if it does stop, look at how many things are already in the school system. You can't get around not talking to your children anymore, okay? Regardless of whether the curriculum goes through or doesn't go through. So, so we're moving into the last or middle part of our talk. So a lot of people feel like we in the Muslim community, we don't really have a problem. We don't need to talk to our youth. Now, I'm not suggesting that we talk to our youth the way the way the Ministry of Education wants to talk to our youth, but we feel like, hey, we don't need to talk to our kids, right? Or do we? What do we think? Do we need to talk to our kids? We do. So if this curriculum wasn't here, would we still need to talk to our kids? Yeah, we do. So has anybody heard of Nasiha? No, Nasiha is the Muslim help phone. Muslim help phone. It's been around for 8 years, and it operates out of Ontario. They were actually nice enough to give me some, so they're completely anonymous. You can call them, they're completely anonymous. They actually gave me some anonymous call logs of kids who called in. Muslim kids from Ontario. So in the absence of real data on our Muslim community, I approached them and they were kind enough to share what's happening on the ground level. So don't take my word for it as a principal who's on the ground floor seeing what's going on, because I just have like 150 students in my school, right? Let's take it from Nasiha, who receives a number of calls per year. So I'm going to read 2 of those call logs. Assalamu alaikum. I'm a 15-year-old Muslim girl raised in a happy Muslim family. Myself as well as my family are religious and modern at the same time. I wear the hijab and I'm happy with it. I pray 5 times a day and read the Quran on a daily basis. I have never and do not wish to ever engage in illicit activities, but for quite a long time I've been suffering from gender dysmorphia. I know Allah does not make mistakes and each and every one of Allah's actions are perfect, but I constantly feel like I was born in the wrong body. I hate having breasts and a womanly figure. Since I was in elementary school, I've always felt like I was a boy trapped in a girl's body, even before I reached puberty. I honestly hate feeling like this so much. It makes me so depressed I constantly cry about it. And each time I cry, it's a mixture of dislike for being born a girl and also a mixture of guilt for disliking what Allah has given me. I don't know what to do with my current situation. I've been diagnosed with depression since I was 10 and I've been seeing a psychologist and given medication on and off. My family tells me things like it's just the shaitan messing around with my head. May Allah protect me from all that is haram, because I want to stay as far away from it as possible. I want to be closer to Allah, and at the moment I just don't know what to do anymore. Please help me. I'm afraid of crying so often. Second one. I'm a Muslim sister who has been addicted to pornography and masturbation since the age of 5. Because I was exposed to pornography and began to masturbate. I don't know how to quit. I need to because it has ruined me and ruined my life. Please reply to me, as no other Muslim service wants to except for one psychologist who charged me a lot and told me to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I don't know who to go to because non-Muslim psychologists will just tell me that it's okay as long as I do it in moderation. They'll be enforcing their own ideologies on me, but my plan is to quit. Please help me. So do we have a problem, brothers and sisters, in our community? We do. The reason I chose these, I had a number of call logs to choose from. The reason I chose these 2 call logs is because they were from women. They were from girls. And we don't realize, like if women are experiencing it, can you imagine what the men are experiencing? Can you imagine? Right? And we are living in such a pornographic society that this is what's becoming of our children. Okay? And we don't want that to happen. And the only way to fix this is to talk to our children. Because if we don't talk to them, what's going to happen? So just to give you a couple more stats, you'll take a look at this pie graph here that I put on, and you'll see that it's all covered. These are all the calls that Nasiha received from 2013 and 2014, and it's from boys age 11 to 13. Boys age 11 to 13. 100% of the calls were about pornography and masturbation. 100%. That is compelling. Now, how does that relate to the normal North American population? So we can't make a one-on-one correlation because as a scientist, I know I can't do that, but I can give you a stat. 9 out of 10 children aged between 8 and 16 have viewed pornography on the internet, 9 out of 10. So is it surprising that 100% of our boys are calling in regarding pornography? And it's not that our kids are going online seeking this stuff. How many of us have been on the internet and then you see a pop-up and for us we're like, oh, close it. But for a kid, like imagine a 9-year-old, no idea what that is, and they're like, huh, what's that? And then they click on it, and that's it. Okay, so how many of your children have devices? Are you monitoring them? And by monitoring them, I don't mean, here's your device, go play so I can cook, or so that I can go to work. I mean, sitting beside them, looking at what they're doing on that device. Okay? So how good is our relationship with our youth? I'd like to draw your attention to the upper right quadrant here, the parent and youth conflicts. So 31% of parents are calling, 31% of that pie in regards to our relationship with our youth, 31% of people, of parents and youth are having conflicts. So parents are calling Nasiha, complaining about their children. Children are calling Nasiha, complaining about their parents, but are parents and children talking to each other? No, they're not. It's clear from this that they're not. Finally, what will happen to these youth if we don't start talking to them? So troubled youth do turn into troubled adults. What I want to show you is on the bottom right quadrant, you'll see the big yellow pie slice and the purple pie slice. The purple pie slice is marriage and divorce. 13% of adults aged 31 and over are calling Nasiha regarding marriage and divorce, regarding divorce essentially. And 13% of adults 31 and over are calling Nasiha about sexual orientation. These are Muslims. Sexual orientation. The fact that both of those pie slices are 13%, now as a scientist again, I can't make that correlation because I'd have to know, but that's definitely food for thought. As a scientist, I would want to investigate, hey, is there any correlation between the people who are getting divorced and the people who are confused about their identity in the Muslim community? So we do have a problem in our Muslim community. We do need to start talking to our children, and that's the only way. We need to open the gates of communication and just start talking to them and trying to understand them, regardless of what they have to say to us. Okay, and being there for them, because if we're not there for them, somebody else will be there for them. Okay, we want to be there for them. So now that we understand the background and the summary, and now that we understand the state of Muslim youth, we're going to go into your options as parents. So there are 4 options that you have as parents. You can keep your children in public school, you can send your children to Catholic school, you can send your children to an Islamic school, or you can homeschool your children. So let's talk about the public school option. So obviously you have the option of opting your child out of the curriculum. Just know that when you do opt your child out of the curriculum, you cannot opt out of the same-sex families. Okay, so 2 moms and 2 dads, you cannot opt out of that. Why? Because that's against the Ontario Human Rights Code. The same Ontario Human Rights Code that protects us. So there are religious accommodations that you are provided which allow you to opt out. But even in that religious accommodation document, which by the way you can look up online, it's available for you to read and see as part of your school board. What's the school board here in, what's it called? DSBN? Right, just search DSBN and religious accommodation on Google, and that document will come up so you can see your rights as a parent in terms of religious accommodations. You'll see that you have the right to religious accommodation as long as it doesn't infringe upon the human rights of someone else. So your religious accommodation does not mean that you can opt out of the two moms, two dads conversation, but you can opt out of the sexual part of it. If you do want to opt out, you can take out your cameras, you can take a picture of this particular slide. So I developed this in collaboration with a principal in the Toronto District School Board. He is a Muslim principal in the Toronto District School Board, and he helped me draft this as a letter that you could send to your school in September if you want to opt them out. Usually schools send home a letter before they're starting this particular topic to inform you, and some schools are doing it, some schools I heard are not doing it. So just to be safe, if you want to opt your child out, just send them this letter and inshallah you'll be okay. You should know that if you opt your child out, they're still going to learn about this stuff on the playground from their friends, right? Because the minute the class is over, their friends are going to come and tell them about it. So you need to understand the consequences as well, okay? And there might also be a little bit of bullying, like, haha, you weren't in class, what's your problem? And then a lot of questions that go along with that. So just understand the pros and cons of each. Obviously, still within the public school option, you could choose to opt your child in. And if you are going to opt your child in, you need to educate yourself on the curriculum, which today you did. Alhamdulillah, I'm glad all of you are here. Also, you have to educate yourself on sex in Islam. Okay, remember that sex in Islam, remember they're going to be talking about anal sex, right? Or they might be. That's not allowed in Islam at all. Like even when so right now we tell our kids, hey, don't have sex before marriage. That's the sex talk essentially, right? Now your sex talk is going to have a little bit more to it, which is, yes, when you, by the way, have sex after marriage, remember that this particular form of sexual activity is not permissible in Islam. Right? So you got to educate yourself on what's allowed and what's not allowed in Islam. And keep that good relationship with your teacher, child's teacher. Also, there's a second option. A lot of people think, hey, I'm going to take my kid out of the public school and I'm going to put them in a Catholic school, the Catholic District School Board. Catholic District School Board has to teach the curriculum. Okay? And Liz Sandals said that they have to teach the curriculum. So just know that it's going to be the same thing as any other public school because they do receive public funding. Islamic school, obviously you can put your child in an Islamic school. Islamic schools and other private schools that do not receive public funding do not have to teach the curriculum, and there's a policy document that states that they don't have to follow the Ministry of Education curriculum as well. Just so you know, they don't have to teach it, but it's a costly option, right? Because you have to pay tuition. And in terms of resources, I'll tell you as a principal, I charge $4,250 a year for one student to go through school, and in the public school board, they allot $12,000 to $14,000, approximately somewhere in there, dollars a year to put one child through school. So that's significantly more that the public school has in terms of resource budget for your particular child. So any Islamic school will never have as many resources as the public school would. Okay, so just know that. And then the final option obviously is homeschooling. So you do have the option to homeschool your children. I caution you when exercising this option, if you are going to homeschool your child just because of the sexual education curriculum, I would say please don't do that, because that sounds to me like it would almost be a knee-jerk reaction, right? If you're going to homeschool your child, you have to understand that you're responsible for educating them on everything. Science, math, social studies, sex education, physical education, French, you are responsible, okay? So this is a very, very heavy decision to make, and it should be made, and it should be well thought out with a plan, not a reaction to something. Okay, so if you choose to exercise this option, it is an option available to you, but just really think about it before you go there. So that's the end of my presentation. I'd like to acknowledge Yasin Puna of Nasiha, and he's the head of Nasiha, and I really want to thank him, I know he's not here, but for providing me with the data that I could present to you here tonight. Also, I'd like to thank Aisha Ashik, Noura Hindi, Khadija, Ziad for helping me along with this presentation, and a principal in the Toronto District School Board who shall remain nameless, who also helped me. And there were so many other people. Every single time I've gone to present somewhere, all of those people have helped me put together this presentation. So I'd like to thank them. And the last thought I want to leave you with is, please talk to your kids. We have power. That's our power. We should exercise it. Okay, inshallah. Thank you so much.
الترجمة got 4 minutes for translation. طبعا في مشاكل بالنسبة للمنهج الجديد، أولها